and California rainbow with a bit of magical spin. This time, it had happened in Cameron Park, California, surrounded by trees in the wintering scenes and forests. It happened in the house of Mr. and Mrs. Warney, the most darling people the newspaper business has ever seen. You see in this story, they play a great part. Not many of you have seen them, but their love and heart set this paper apart. All began on Sunday night when Miss Martin called a name into the microphone and pushed in fairy tale into the start.
Wendy, a true golden paper girl at heart, always believed in Peter Pan. She waited and read and always stayed true. She followed her favorite newspaper and read it through. Magic and pixie dust were not silly stories, and even when questioned, she always held on to her faith with great resolve. Little did the naysayers know she had some proof of her own. She herself held on to a piece of the magic. She had Peter's shadow locked and hid it away. She knew it wasn't just poppycock. Just when she thought it was her last night in the nursery, her journey took off. Adventurous as always, Peter leaped into her room to start the story of their dazzling year together as editors.
Come on now, we've got to go. So much to do in so little time. And you have to be there to watch me defeat mean old Hook and share with all of California's Lost Boys all of your stories. Don't forget about the tick-tock clock of all the deadlines we have to go by. It's time to go to the Darling's house. You know Mr. and Mrs. Darling, don't you? Oh, well then I will have to introduce you. Come on now, Wendy, it's time to go. It's time to make the pot of gold newspaper.
But how do we make a newspaper?
InDesign, of course. It's easy. All it takes is faith and trust. Oh, and something I forgot. Laptops. Just think of the number of pages in any combination of 4, 16, 20, 24. They all will do. The front page is taken by me, and the back page is for you to do. Tiger Lily Megan's article always goes up front, and so does the table of contents. That's the thing that sends you where you ought to look. You just gotta know how to pick all the really good stories, Wendy, for the back page. I know you can do it.
It will be a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure it will do. You see, Peter, there are just so many good stories from all the Lost Boy reporters of California. They all did just like you asked them to. They thought of a wonderful thought. Any happy little thought? They thought of service projects, initiations, and installations and wrote them all down to share with California. I think it will be quite lovely to pick from them the treasured spotlights. They must be turned in on time, and they must be written well. Maybe they will even keep in mind the theme of the paper.
Well, you're pretty smart for a girl. I know everything that goes in every other edition too, though. Every edition has an article from Captain Martin and her captain, Tiger Lily Megan. All year, Captain Martin hides her at receptions and OBs and all kinds of other places. There was this one time I tried to save her at Skull Rock, and then again at the Mermaid's Lagoon. But each time I got distracted, where was I?
Come now, Peter, you have to remember, I have just 1 year before I have to grow up. I already know that each edition features an article by the Grand Service Mermaid. And who could forget about Piglet's pledge page?
But what about us, Peter?
Don't we get to share a special little thought? Any happy little thought?
I was getting there. In each edition, we get to write these editorials to share with all of California Rainbow ideas to keep them flying. I have an idea. We should theme our editorials this year to go after the theme, to go along with the theme of the paper, Disneyland. When I write something about an old ride, because I'm, older and wiser and stronger and a much better sword fighter, you should write about the ride that replaced that ride.
Oh, Peter, that's a lovely idea. We can share all our happy little thoughts and spread pixie dust as far as the paper can reach.
And one more thing, Wendy. In each edition, we'll leave a note to our friends and fans out there. Kind of like a story, but not necessarily with a moral or anything. Just a fun kind.
This will be such an adventure. We must fly at once to the Darling's house and begin this dazzling year. The first edition deadline is already here. Come on now, Peter, lead the way.
Here we go, Wendy. That's the spirit. Off to Disneyland in 5 newspaper editions. This year, the pot of gold is themed after Disneyland and all of its different lands. The first stop aboard the Disneyland Limited
should gather lots of photos from Grand Assembly because this edition features the recap from all of Grand Assembly 2011. Who could believe it's already been a year? Come on now, Lost Boys, it's time for a story. Let's climb into Tarzan's treehouse and swing through the spotlights for the first edition of the year. And those stories are Going Bananas by Colleen Penaluna of Roseville Dreamer Assembly, Grand Assembly Fun with Central Coast by Alana Friesen of Central Coast Assembly, New Beginnings in Santa Cruz by Jasmine Glenn of Santa Cruz Assembly.
Hey, those sure were some great stories. Next time you should try to pick some about me and my adventures too, though. Like there was this one time, I was plotting a fight with Captain Hook, and all I could do was laugh because I remembered how much she reminds me of a codfish.
Oh dear, Peter, I do hope your stories get better. I believe the coast is clear, though. No sign of TikTok. I think that leaves way for a summer of flying and fun. Hey, Peter, don't you think it would be a great idea if we go and fly and talk to the Lost Boys and their advisors all about the thoughts on the paper, from formatting to themes, just to make sure everyone is really clear on all the magic that goes into making the paper?
Yeah, sure, Wendy, that's a great idea. Maybe we can even give them tips and tricks on how to fight off TikTok. And maybe, just maybe, they'll want to learn more ideas on how to write better stories. I love a good story. Hey, I have an idea. We could take all the Lost Boys to meet the Indians. I even know their chief. Great idea, Wendy.
Oh, yes, Peter. We should fly there at once and meet him. I'm sure all the Lost Boys would love to listen to what he has to say. I'm sure he has lots of wisdom and knows all about their native customs. Maybe he even knows the history of the Never Never newspaper. Or maybe he knows the secret to defeating Captain Hook. Following the leader, the leader, the leader. We're following the leader wherever we go. We're off to meet the engines, the engines, the engines. We're off to meet the engines wherever they may be.
Ow.
Ouch, Redmond. Tell me, what makes a red man red?
As well in his heart, with all the love